My name is AJ Winters and welcome to my YouTube channel, Winter's Tales, a place that I hope to fill with all kinds of storytelling, starting with this show right here, which I'm calling World Builder. I've been writing and creating stories since I was young, and more recently I've branched out into tabletop RPGs. If you have caught my recent D&D stream, The Academy of Xander, you'll know that I get pretty intense when it comes to lore and content creation. Myths and legends, clothing styles in the capital cities, map making, little objects that I can throw at my players and have them uncover mysteries. You know, the nitty-gritty stuff. It was actually my younger self who inspired me to dive a little further into this. After I cleaned my apartment recently, I found so many maps and scribblings and notebooks full of ideas. So I thought I'd share them with you. There's so much here. Okay, we have languages. I actually used to make up a lot of handwritten languages that I would sneak my friends' notes in class with. And I think this was actually one of the ones we used to write in. This one here, this symbol is actually from the Dinatopian language because yes, I watched Dinotopia repeatedly as a kid and learned how to write in their language. Ooh, I think this is actually a list of different RPG or story ideas. After a demon and a daughter of an angel marry, the world and the netherworld falls to chaos. Did I mean netherworld as in like the underworld, or like nether in like the other sense? The Rising. A rebellion rises against a city to overthrow the caster government. Casters are magicians. Rebellion feels oppressed. It's very breaked dot points. Light goes out. After thousands of decades with power, everyone's flame begins to die out. Will they fight for their gifts until the end or adapt to a human lifestyle? That's pretty cool. That would make a really good RPG. Keep an eye on that one. I taught myself how to write in sort of a Lord of the Rings styled script. I believe this is a character that I made, Andrika. A first degree Scion. Scions were a race that I created that were similar to airbenders and earthbenders from Avatar, but with magician powers as well. So they were like elemental witches and wizards. So this is actually a fun story. These are drafts of a novel that I was writing that I would write during classes. So every class I've ever sat in, there's a page from this that I had written. Instead of doing math homework or learning about history, I just divulged into storytelling. I created a new RPG system. It wasn't quite perfected, so I might look into doing this a little bit more, but this was the categories instead of the D&D 5e setting. I don't remember how it works, but I will look it up and see if I can actually get this to be functional. But I get very experimental when it comes to role-playing and storytelling. Speaking of which, here is one of my maps. Then we have the notebooks. This one in particular I carried with me every day of high school, and it has every idea that I've ever had for one of my novels in it. The pages are numbered, there are sticky notes in everything. I've got maps in here as well of different continents and then explanations of them. And see how far in the deep depths of world building that I actually got to. So this one here, the pillars in Capaco. The city is held by thousands of pillars, all individual and unique. The city, situated underneath waterfalls, is extravagant in more ways than one. But the pillars were made of the most precious materials and are great, I can't even read my handwriting, and are a great marvel to the people in Capaco. I designed pillars. That's how far I get into this. Oh, I made a sport. I don't even play sport. I was talking about this on Good Morning RPG the other day. I made a sport called Taiado. It was very intricate. There were a lot of rule systems. It was kind of soccer meets Quidditch meets Avatar: The Last Airbender. But yeah, I made a sport. There's the field. The rules. I have rules. The players pass the ball down to each goal area, and the medium can only score if the players have... Nope, there's no logic to the rules. Teams, there's 5 on each team, 3 passers, 1 medium, and 1 keeper. The mediums have to stay on their spot the whole time, and they guide the ball in, so they are the only ones that can score. It's very interesting. Some of these ideas that were written a very, very long time ago resurface for different stories. So here I have the Fire Islands, and I'm pretty sure I've incorporated the Fire Islands into every story that I've had since, just because I love the name the Fire Islands. The Orb of Destiny! Owned by the Malin, which is the queen in the realm that I made. Originally, orbs were used by oracles to look at the future and glimpses of it, but this orb was fashioned to choose specific people's destinies. What else do we have in this mystical land of adventures? I created new races as well. Here was some nymphs, most commonly known as tree folk, or the photosum fairies. Ah! So here's a tidbit of information that is very, very interesting. But these nymphs grew from trees, and if they weren't around that tree, they could grow their own tree. And if anyone watches the Academy of Xandar, they'll know that that is what Odie is. Odie is a newly adapted version of this creation that I wrote back in 2011. I have an ancient story. Do you like to hear my ancient story? An elementary is a species adapted from humans that have control over the elements. 6 sisters inherited the first family elements: light, darkness, water, air, fire, and earth. It was said that the dragon of Isandar bestowed the gifts upon the children to protect them each from their own nightmares. Selena, the first daughter, was afraid of being alone in the dark, so the dragon gifted her light, to always see the bright side and to light up the path for others. Mariona, the second daughter, was afraid of the eyes of judgment, from people discriminating against others, and so the dragon gifted her the gift of darkness, to hide from hurtful eyes and to grant others with life as good as hers. Teresa, the third daughter, was afraid of being held back, trapped by the weight of society. So the dragon gifted the third sister the power of air to be free and fly through life's worries. Erafesta, the fourth daughter, was afraid of sickness and illness, so the dragon gave her the gift of water so that she could heal others and swim through life's worries. Lorena, the fifth daughter, feared the thought of a weakened life and corruption in their city, so the dragon granted the fifth sister with the gift over fire, so that she could protect the city and give the gift of life. Justina, the youngest sister and the sixth sister, was afraid that the gifts could never be given back. She wanted to be fair and honest, so the dragon of Isandar granted her the gift over plants and animals. So the dragon of Isandar granted her the gift over plants and animals to make traditions and life grow on. Together, the 6 sisters make up true life and heart. Over generations, more elementaries added to the family: ice, stone, Koli, and Nikolai. I wonder what those elements are. Don't you find it funny when you go back over your own creations and you're like, ooh, this is interesting? I don't know if this is interesting to anyone else watching. Oh, look at me go. I started creating dates and times and calendars based on this story. That's pretty intense when you start making your own calendar. And there is a saying that sometimes says too much world building can actually detract from the story that you're doing. And it is 100% true, because I made moon cycles and calendars, but I never actually wrote this story. I worked out the difference in time zones between Earth and this world that I had made. No. Not at all. I even created fruits and a food pyramid based on the things that people ate in these worlds. What else do we got? Ooh, in a circular city, all the cities are designed to be magical runes for teleportation and safety spells. That's a cool idea. Maybe that could be the basis of our next RPG game. I'm just a giant nerd. All right. And lastly, we've got so many things here, but these are all, I think these are D&D related. And we've got, oh, the Land of Aelwyn, another little map that I drew here. I like that one. I believe that's the one I had with the Trilands. Yes. Another great concept that I want to add back into something that I actually use. The Trilands were 3 cities that had trading ports or trading deals with each other. So they functioned as their own civilization and were very connected but very separated by mountain ridges, which was a fun concept for me. So that brings me to why I'm here, talking to you on YouTube. I've decided that I want to build a world one step at a time, so that we can dive into that world later this year with a tabletop RPG. And I'm gonna take you on that journey with me. What does that mean exactly? That means that you can be a part of this world-building adventure as we slowly create a world together. You can follow me on all of the socials, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where you can be a part of polls, questionnaires, and all of the brainstorming sessions. You can also join my Discord, where we'll be having a lot of group chats and a lot of seminars about different types of world building. And lastly, if you're a true world builder or just enjoy the content, you can join me over on Patreon, where you'll be able to download PDFs of everything that we create on this show. I kind of liked the idea from earlier about those circular cities that could be used for teleportation or safety. So I think I'm gonna start there. I'm really excited to go on this journey with you. So click subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode.